Okay, as we come to the end of another month, it's time for a quick catch up with Ian. We've just been saying off camera that there's not a lot happening, but we have had a few questions come our way, and so it's just a chance to give everybody a little update on a few things. So I think one of the main things was the appeal, and have we had an outcome, or did we appeal, and have we had an outcome to that yet?
We did appeal. We drafted very, very lengthy appeals against both decisions, the filed and the Curzon decision, both based on different facts. The filed appeal, obviously the club were accused of not complying with the COVID regulations set down by the league.
Yeah.
Despite the very, very difficult position that we were in, we had a couple of players who were showing symptoms, and we've submitted the appeal on the basis that despite us complying with all the regulations, in the sense that as soon as the players exhibited symptoms, we notified the league, we sent the players off for tests. In our view, we got a very unprecedented demand to play the game 48 hours later. All the relevant regulations, I think top of my head, it's rule 8.39, say that if a game is postponed for any reason, the clubs get 42 days to rearrange. Yeah. So we sent the players off for tests as per the regulations, notified the league that we wanted to postpone the game, and we suggested that the game be rearranged for 7 days later, which obviously prejudiced neither club. It's only 7 days, and that would give us the time to get the players tested and get their results. If the tests come back negative, then everyone's ready to go 7 days later. And if the tests come back positive, we go into isolation and we are not putting anyone else at risk. Yeah. As I say, why we were told to play the game 48 hours later when we didn't have the test results, that's out of our hands, we don't know. But that was the basis of the appeal for the filed game. And I think we made our thoughts known to everyone and anyone in relation to Curzon, in that whilst there were clubs suffering financially who, were put in very real danger, we weren't prepared to play those games. That's our case, that's our argument. Plus, by that stage, despite promises, we still hadn't received any testing kits from the National League. So again, even though we were going, or we were prepared to pay for the tests ourselves for our players, what's the point if the team that you're playing against can't afford to test their players? Yeah. The test is not preventative, so we'd be putting everyone at risk again. So that was the basis of the two appeals. They were both lodged. Both cost us another £250 per appeal, which is obviously not what we needed this time. And we're very much now in the hands of the National League as to, the hands of the FA as to what they do about them.
Do we know when we might get a result?
No. It's just a case of, as I say, we filed very lengthy appeals, which we've asked the FA to consider on paper. We'll have to wait now and see what they do. The filed game is obviously very individual to that appeal. The Curzon game, I imagine they have quite a large number of clubs who've all put in similar appeals to ourselves. So how they're going to deal with that, I don't know. I'm disappointed because I think the National League could have quite easily tried to deal with this. We are now officially null and void. It's been ratified. Yeah. It would have been quite easy for the National League to kind of try and build some bridges, come to the clubs and say, look, it's been a difficult time. We are now null and void. Let's try and think of another way around this. Let's maybe suspend these decisions to next season. Let's talk about it. But we've had nothing. We've had no kind of approach in that respect.
It's disappointing, isn't it? Because really, we had a good relationship with the National League. We were the first team to get fans in the whole of the national setup, weren't we? So, you know, we were doing so much to comply and get everything going, and then this has left a bit of a sour taste.
Well, I am surprised that there's been no attempt to kind of resolve this matter. You know, there were 17 teams who obviously voted for an EGM, which in turn, obviously, there is then going to be a vote of no confidence or not. And I haven't heard any further about that before you ask.
Yeah.
But you know, my understanding is that Mark Ives from the National League were ringing around those 17 clubs, trying to kind of discuss the situation and nip that in the bud. So I'm very surprised that there hasn't been a similar approach to those clubs that have appealed these decisions, because let's be honest, you know, we've got to try and resolve this and put it behind us and all work together towards next season. And at the moment, that's very difficult because obviously there's a bad taste in everyone's mouth for some reason or other, whether you're one of the teams who wanted to carry on or whether you're one of the teams who clearly didn't want to carry on. You know, someone has got a gripe somewhere about someone, and that's you know, maybe needs resolving before next season.
Sounds a long way off, though. I've just been doing the calculations. 108 days to the start of the next season on the 14th of August. Sounds a long time, but there's a lot of things to get sorted out before that, isn't there, Ian?
Well, there is, but we're in a really kind of strange, difficult period because obviously, you know, personnel-wise, everyone is furloughed still. You know, the season has only just gone null and void now, only just been ratified. It's difficult in relation to talking to players for next season because Liam is furloughed, John Macker is furloughed, the players are furloughed. It's difficult talking to players that we want to bring in for next season because despite being furloughed, they're still contracted to clubs. Most of them are contracted to clubs until the 2nd of May. But then we're in a really difficult situation again, because although the contract should end on the 2nd of May, many clubs may furlough over their contracts and keep them running through the summer. So you're in a really grey period. We do have a lot to do. Liam has sent me numerous long lists of things that we need to do for next season, in the sense of, I think I'm the only person at the club who isn't furloughed. So, you know, in the sense of kind of players that we want to bring in, players that we want to keep, you know, we still have to process that. We still need to have those plans in place. And as you say, we may be some way away now from the start of the season, but we need to be ready, up and running for pre-season. Pre-season should start on the 1st of July. At the moment, we've got a provisional schedule in for 4 home games, 4 away games through July. Again, kind of 2/3 of those have confirmed, so we'll be able to get something out shortly. But yeah, I mean, it sounds a long way away, but it will come very quickly, particularly, as I say, with the difficulty behind furlough, what it causes, the limited personnel we have available. Plus, obviously, we've lost James.
That's one of the questions. The hot topic, I think, at the moment. What's happening about James and his replacement?
Well, yeah, I mean, James has been great in that, you know, he's made sure that kind of nothing it has been left undone. You know, he's I mean, again, it was made more difficult by the fact that he also went on furlough and his notice period has been served out on furlough. But as regards the replacement, we kind of whittled it down by application to 3 or 4 really good, strong candidates. You know, I mean, again, it's been difficult to meet with anybody because of everything going on. But we have one very, very strong candidate. You know, I've had chats with him. Liam has had chats with him. and we hope to be in a position to confirm that with a view to him starting on the 1st of June.
Oh, excellent.
That then will give him the ability to kind of get to grips with everything before pre-season starts on the 1st of July. It allows for a handover from everything that James has left for him to kind of pick up and get used to. And then hopefully, as we get into July and the pre-season games, it gives everyone the opportunity, the chance to meet him meet everyone else, and just get to feel at home.
Yeah, good. That gets a few emails out of the contact box, because that seems to be the hot topic at the moment. I think everyone thought James was indispensable, and we all know he is really, but it's got to move on, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's as much of a problem for the new person coming in, because obviously, James did, he went kind of over and above in relation to not just doing the job, but also getting to know the fans and getting to know the club. And the new secretary is going to have to do the same. I imagine it's also a hot topic of conversation, because there's not very much else going on.
Oh, that's very true.
You do have my sympathy in relation to having to put stuff out when there's not very much coming from me or anyone else to put out.
But we're going to fill the time with some nice former player interviews coming up from Saturday onwards, so that will keep everybody going for a little bit. We've got some good ones coming up there. You mentioned when we did a last interview about a fans' evening coming up in August. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, it'll either be towards the end of July or beginning of August.
Yeah.
We did think about having it on the day or evening of one of our home games. But we were concerned that doesn't really kind of give as much opportunity as we would want to kind of really give the event what we want it to be. We want it to be a real good opportunity in a relaxed environment for the fans just to, get back into the Pure Stadium. They haven't seen the players for, I don't know how long now. It's what, 15 months, is it? I don't know, 14 months. We had built up good relationships and good bonds between players who had been at the club now, a good couple of years, and the fans. The players had been coming into the bar after the game. We were starting to build up the kind of relationship between fans and players that we had been lacking, say 3 or 4 years ago. So we want the Fans' Day to be an opportunity to try and kind of rebuild that and allow us to do quite a lot on that day. So, it might be that we have some kind of informal friendly, but more likely it will be a training session, a couple of training games where the fans can, as I say, just come, watch, mingle. We'll make sure that the players stay for as long afterwards as everyone and anyone wants them to. We will have, we'll deal with the likes of the shared sponsorships for last season, because obviously people have sponsored players, people will be looking for their signed shirts.
Yeah.
We'll have a few kind of presentations in that respect. Obviously, to make it a more relaxed mingle, we'll obviously be putting on hopefully a hog roast, all obviously subject to the guidelines and as they're changing at the moment. But yeah, the idea is that it will be a relaxed environment where the board will be available, Liam, John McCarthy, all the players. We just mingle, chat, and see how it goes afterwards. And as I say, we'll have a few kind of smaller events on during the course of that day. But this will be the first of a number of events that we try and put on similar through the season.
Is this the season ticket holders and members, people that have maintained that?
Yeah, this will be in relation to the old gold loyalty season ticket and the memberships. So, for example, that will be the first event. We'll be looking to do something over Christmas. We'll look to do something kind of towards the end of the season, and then again an end of season awards type event. And we'll have continuing opportunity through the course of the season to put offers to the season ticket holders and members, maybe hospitality, we can use that. We can put forward offers for reduced hospitality for certain games. I mean, essentially, it's something that, it's a work in progress. So we are as interested to hear from the fans as to what they want and what they think will be suitable, as much as kind of Liam, Steve and I saying, right, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Because no one has been able to speak to anyone for the course of the last 12 months or so. No. Normally, if people have questions, have ideas, they'll see us on a Saturday at the Pure Stadium, more often at the away game when we're just kind of mingling. Anyway, we haven't had that opportunity now for 12 to 14 months. We try our best to answer any emails direct from fans, but they are few and far between. Because again, it's easier for someone just to kind of catch your eye, give you a wave as you walk past and ask the question. Hopefully we can get the walkabout Wednesdays. You probably know more than me.
Yeah, that's one of the things. People have said it would be nice to get back in the ground, at least to see it. And obviously we had a bit of a false alarm, should we say, with the first walkabout Wednesday. But people are asking, can we get those back up and walking again, just so people can come to the ground, meet up with the friends again. So I think that's something we desperately want to do, isn't it, Ian?
Well, it's something that we've wanted to do since day one. We were happy we could get it up and going again. Was it 3 weeks or so now?
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate that that somebody complained. The council got involved and decided that we'd best wait for a couple of weeks, because apparently it's far safer to go down to a busy beach or a busy park than it is to walk around the Pure Stadium, where you can, keep your distance and sanitize your hands and everything else. That's the council's call, not ours. But we've gone back to the council now, I believe, and asked them if we can get it up and started again. Hopefully they say yes. And again, it's really useful, because it's not just an opportunity for everyone to come to the stadium and have a walk around, but it's an opportunity to ask questions of me or Liam or whichever one of us is down there. And it's a good opportunity for us to gauge what everyone else is thinking as well.
And they will be able to see the pitch being renovated yet again, won't they? Yet again.
I don't want to cause any alarm. This isn't a major renovation.
No.
This is something which annually will happen. We will take up the top so many inches of the pitch, relay the seeds, and basically it will just keep it as the quality it should be each season. And we've got an agreement with Everton whereby we will take turns in being responsible for doing that whilst the contract runs with Everton. This summer we'll do it, next summer they'll do it, and as I say, hopefully that means that for every single game through the course of the season, we know that the pitch will be the quality that it should be.
Yeah, excellent. The European Super League, it lasted a day, didn't it, the thoughts of it, but it did throw up a few people saying, hang on, I'm going to go and watch my local team instead of getting on the train down the line to Bankhall and watching Liverpool and Everton. Something we can maybe think about. I know it's been knocked on the head, but I think there were a few disgruntled people around, so I'm sure you would welcome ideas what we could do to attract the disgruntled fans of the so-called Big Six.
We've got to be realistic.
Yes, very.
And I think that this is the age-old question, which has kind of been in the background since I got involved, and so that I imagine it's been in the background every season for the last 30, 40, 50 years.
Yep.
How do you attract fans away from the Man Uniteds and the Evertons? It's very difficult. We would have thought that they would have kind of outpriced themselves over the last few years, but people are still paying, people are still going. It's a completely different experience National League to Premier League.
Yeah.
And I think I've spoken a few times over the last 12 months over well, what I thought was kind of the ridiculous situation whereby, you know, we're playing in front of, and no offense to you, Rob, but we're playing in front of a camera, which is then sending the game to people's homes, when that's the whole reason why they weren't going to Premier League or watching Premier League, was because you know, fans want the experience of, you know, the non-league day out.
I 100% agree. It's no offense. I absolutely agree with you. I don't like watching that. It was awful being at home rather than watching it at Blythe Spartans and all that journey, for example.
Yeah, and you know, so how do you kind of change the mentality of, you know, 50, 60,000 people who go to Anfield or Old Trafford, or to kind of encourage them to come along and have a pie and a pint and watch Southport? You know, if we knew the answer to that, I don't think we'd be non-league.
No.
And you know, time will tell. Time will tell whether people have been disgruntled by the attitude shown by Premier League clubs and decide to go local, or whether people just kind of get over it, and then in 3 or 4 months' time, when the new season has started, they go straight back to how they used to be. If we will continue to look at and look for initiatives that attract fans, and you know, we will never stop doing that. Whether the Super League will have any effect on that, I'm very dubious.
I don't think it will myself, but you never know. You never know. Well, the main thing this year, we all want the fans back in the ground, don't we? I think that's, you know, it was horrible last season, wasn't it? We were doing our best to put the streams out and everything, but it was awful without the fans in, if we're brutally honest. We all want the fans back, and hopefully we'll have that at some of the pre-season games coming up early from July, hopefully.
Well, we're working on that basis. I mean, again, our biggest enemy at the moment is the silence that's coming from the National League.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of, there's no guidance whatsoever in that respect. Everything, you know, touch wood, everything is looking positive as regards, you know, getting fans back in place. Obviously, the whole vaccination scheme seems to be working. You know, that we are having test events at the moment, and I've not seen any negative or detrimental responses to those. I think everyone has learned from the last 12 months that if we can't start the season with fans, we really do need to question whether the season should be starting at all.
Yeah.
And I think the National League will be alive to that, and I think certainly the clubs involved, the majority of the clubs involved, just, you know, we are not going to take kind of promises and people's words for the fact that things will get better. I think, you know, the season has to start with fans, or it doesn't start. And at the moment, everything is obviously pointing towards it, there being fans in place. We are working towards the pre-season friendlies on the basis that fans will be in place, and you know, that's what we're preparing for.
Well, I think we all can't wait to be back and having some proper football. I've watched too much Premier League on television to kill me. It's just not the same as getting to a ground and watching football, is it?
I think that's what everyone will take from the last 12 months.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, the football without fans is just, you know, it's soulless. You know, the excitement has gone out of it. You know, I think fans in a ground, even if it's the worst game of football in the world, they still kind of, you know, you can feel the desire and, you know, the excitement throughout the game, and you compare that to the best game of football in the world without fans, I know which one I'd choose. And as I say, hopefully, you know, the powers that be recognise that. There are obviously factors involved in Premier Leagues and EFLs in relation to sponsorship money and sponsors and the need to play those games. But I think that at our level, it's shown that, it is about the fans. That's what National League and non-league football is about. And so if we can't have them in, what's the point?
I think it was Liam that said even he can't wait for the fellow that stands shouting to him at the back of the stand. All these remarks he makes towards Liam halfway through the game. I think he's missing that, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, and everyone is, because it's your full day. It's your kind of turn up, see friends, have a drink, have something to eat, enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Even more so, for an away game when you're planning for days in advance.
Yeah.
There's a real spirit amongst kind of the non-league teams as well to really kind of want to get this up and running and going again properly with fans.
Yeah.
We all know that there's 2 or 3 teams in there who really are just kind of, or we're just wanting to throw money at, success and going up. But for 90% of the teams there, every single one of those teams understand exactly what non-league is about, and that it can only operate with fans.
Yeah.
And we're much more kind of eyes open to that going into the next season. And so I think it can only happen if that's all reinstated.
Lovely. Okay, well, I think we've covered all the things there, Ian. So thank you very much for your time. And if anything does break, obviously we'll keep everybody up to date. But I do ask anybody, if you've got any questions, send them in to me. And Ian's always very welcome, very easy to send anything to, and will let us know either via the website. So, but do keep sending everything in.
Well, hopefully we'll get some results for appeals soon.
Yeah.
So at least we'll know where we stand there.
Yeah.
We're very open as to what our position has been in relation to those appeals. So again, once the results are in, I'm quite happy to kind of share the contents of the appeal and the results and discuss that in detail. Obviously, there's only so much we can discuss till the results are in.
Yeah.
Once they are, and then hopefully we can put all that behind us, move on and start planning for next season.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Ian.
Okay.